Joe Pasillo, and Joe Rossinello. And once more, let us go into the breach. Joe, here's what I don't understand. Okay. All you need to know about this diabolical trans agenda is one thing to show you what these people are all about. To know that what they're saying are nothing but a bunch of lies and that they're all full of crap is that they refuse any attempt to inform parents when a child is, let's say, sexually confused. Okay, kid goes to school, the teachers want to be able to groom them. Yes, groom them. That's what they want. Okay, and they don't want the parents to know about it. And you know who's not standing for it? Canadians. All right, Americans have been standing up to it too. You can look at the last year with the election in Virginia. Okay, where a lot of this came to light, but the Canadians aren't having it either. A majority of this is on LifeSite News. A majority of Canadians support requiring teachers, Joe, requiring teachers to inform parents about child's gender identity. So the New Brunswick Premier, Blaine Higgs, okay, he's being accused of harming trans kids by not by vowing to respect parental authority. So if you're going to tell a parent that their child is sexually confused or whatever the case might be, or inform them in some way, you're harming that kid by doing that. Joey, live in an insane world. We live in an insane world that the people can't even agree to that. But again, it shows you their diabolical agenda.
I'll be honest with you. I think this is one of the things that's going to undermine the woke movement, because you do not have a right to do that to a kid without telling their parents, at least informing them. By the mere fact that you won't tell them says to me, you know something isn't right here.
Right.
Because if you're on the right path, if you feel that this is the truth, then you don't hide. When you feel you're doing the right thing, when you know you're doing the right thing, I have nothing to hide.
Right.
I'm going to tell you, but they're not. And I'll be truthful with you. Parents have authority over their children. And this, Joe, this, if you ask me, is going to potentially break this movement, because kids are not political.
Right.
There's plenty of liberal voting parents, adults, that are not for this.
Right.
There are gays that are not for this.
Right.
This is
There's a group.
loser.
There's actually a group on Twitter. I forgot their name. I think they call themselves Gays Against Groomers or something
yes,
along
they
those
do.
lines.
It is a group on Twitter. I've seen their posts.
Yeah.
So that's my point. This is a loser. And here's the thing. They're pushing full steam ahead on it.
Well, that's what I don't understand, because I happen to agree with you that it's a loser. But I don't think they see it as a loser.
Well,
I think they think they have that much power.
Well, they do. They
They
control institutions. You see, this is the scary thing, and it's in America, and it's also in Canada. The elites, the establishment, have such a control over institutions, media, Hollywood, corporate America, the use of ESG through corporate America. They don't need the consent of the people. You see, there is some thinking to that. I don't care that you don't want to do this, but we're doing it anyway. And we can.
Right.
In America, they control the teachers' unions. They have such a rock solid hold on that institution. I don't need your consent, Mr. and Mrs. Parent. I'm going to do it anyway. And by the way, the teachers are going to vote for it irregardless, because they want their pensions.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, that goes without saying.
And they're not dumb. They know that. And that's the scary thing. And that's why people should question their democracies, because that's not a democracy.
Well, we don't. Well, look, these people, like, nobody votes them out of the school board. I don't know how it's possible. You saw in Canada, all right, I think it was in Calgary, you had Muslim parents and Christian parents joining arms, telling the teachers, you can't groom our kids. They're our kids. They're not your kids, fighting against them. Okay, if you look at this particular story we're covering here, now, Blaine Higgs, okay, this is according to your buddy there, Justin Trudeau, his decision to respect parents' authority over their children was harshly condemned by Trudeau. Quote, right now, trans kids in New Brunswick are being told they don't have a right to be their true selves. They need to ask for permission. Yeah, Justin. Yeah, kids need to ask their parents permission to do everything. What are you talking about? Like, I don't get this. Why people allow him to get, well, they need to ask permission to be them true selves. Right. Because if I had a daughter and she's acting like a boy, okay, in other words, I'm gonna try to, I have a tomboy as a daughter. I'm gonna do something about that. But if you're gonna take my daughter, my hypothetical daughter, and because she does boyish things, okay, when she's in school and everybody sees her as a bit of a tomboy, you want this teacher to come in and convince her that she's actually a boy. And Trudeau is saying that the parents have no right to know that. And let me say something, Joe. As far as it being a loser, people are starting to they're really starting to get what I think is a mistake. I don't want to see people get violent, but the more you go after a person's kids, all right, the more violent people are going to get. Now, hopefully, they keep it with just objects. But you have this battleground in the schools. Last week, students at Sir Frederick Banting High School in London, Ontario, cheered as a male student tore down the pride flag from a flagpole. In Quebec, students tore down and trampled a rainbow pride flag as their local school prepared to celebrate one of these pride events. People are starting to get fed up. People are starting to get fed up, Joe.
No, I
They're
think
tired
this
of
is a
being punched in
loser.
the face.
Listen, Joe, it's people's kids. This is not like a political discussion on how much you should tax this one versus that one. It's your kids.
Right.
And they're not letting up. That's another thing. Get that through your head, people. They believe that they have enough of a control on the institution that they don't need your consent. Listen, they're doing that with the carbon tax. They don't need your consent. They're doing it anyway.
Right.
And this is where, again, I think it's an eye-opener to people. You don't have a country of the people anymore. People are not connecting the dots.
Mm-hmm.
They have to connect the dots. This is not a democracy anymore. It's the same thing in America. And frankly, that's why people like Trump or want to vote for Trump. They may not necessarily like him, but they're starting to connect the dots. And at least Trump is willing to stand up to the establishment. And that's where some of his base is coming from.
Right.
They try to label them this or that. No, it comes down to, I want my country back. How does that sound?
Right.
And ultimately stop pretending it's a democracy, because it's not.
Right. No, I agree 1,000%. Well, hopefully people will keep stepping up. They'll stand up. We covered, what's his name? Josh Alexander.
Sure.
Josh Alexander
Correct.
staged a walkout in Canada, protesting against the Rainbow Mafia. And that's what they are. They're the Rainbow Mafia. We need to stand up to them. We need to tell them, you're not going to bully us. In particular, Justin Trudeau. Somebody ought to just tell him, Justin, keep your friggin' mouth shut, because when he speaks, I honestly believe, Joe, he angers a lot of people, which is kind of good, because hopefully people will use that righteous anger to get him the hell out of office, because that's at least what Canada's going to need. And we certainly need to kick these idiots out of the, in this administration. We need to get rid of them too. Thanks for joining us here at the Frontline with Joe and Joe. Stick around for more great content